Yeah, Aaron, I mean, I'm told by a number of White House officials that they were just absolutely stunned, particularly by the timing of these remarks. In fact, it sparked rumors all across the White House campus that she was trying to get ahead of something that most people must not know about. That's the only way she would get out there and do this now. Now, I am told by people who are close to her that they were a little bit less surprised because in private, Melania Trump has been growing increasingly frustrated with the online chatter about her relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. And she's never actually come out and flat out denied it. And she wanted an on the record denial. And I was told that even within the sources that are close to Melania Trump, who were talking to the team about this, there were some concerns about the timing of this, particularly the fact that this story had all but died down. The White House had spent months trying to get away from this narrative on Epstein. They've only been able to really do so in the last month and a half as we've been at war with Iran. So the timing would bring this all to the forefront. But some sources said that for Melania, this was in the forefront, that she'd been seeing this online chatter. She'd been seeing these stories circulating in various online news reports about her relationship with Epstein, much of it, or most of it, all speculation, but that she wanted to have this denial. Now, of course, Donald Trump did a quick interview with MS Now in which he told a reporter he had no idea what she was going to say. A senior White House official told me that as well, although we do have one source in the West Wing.
She stood next to him at the most powerful address in the world. And then, quietly, methodically, she started burning it down. Not with a press conference, not with a lawyer, with silence, with timing, and with a single statement that sent shockwaves through the West Wing and straight back to the one name Donald Trump has spent years desperately trying to escape: Jeffrey Epstein. This isn't just a cold marriage story. This is a power move so calculated, so precise, that even White House insiders couldn't explain it. And by the time this video is done, you'll understand exactly why Melania Trump may be the most dangerous person in Donald Trump's orbit, and why the Epstein file is the weapon she keeps choosing to pick up. Let's go back to where this started. Melania Trump, former model, current first lady, permanent ghost of the White House, rarely makes public statements. She doesn't do press, she doesn't hold briefings, she shows up for Easter. She shows up when there's a book to sell. That's it. So when she suddenly stepped forward to publicly deny any personal connection to Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell, Washington didn't just take notice. Washington panicked. White House officials described the moment as a total blindside. The timing made zero sense on paper. The Epstein narrative had largely cooled. The administration had spent months burying it under foreign policy, trade wars, and military headlines. And then Melania walked straight back into the fire, voluntarily. Sources close to her team admitted she'd been watching online chatter about her alleged connection to Epstein's world. The speculation had been circling for months, and she wanted it on record, a formal, public denial. But here's what nobody in her inner circle could explain. Why now? Why, when the story had all but died, did she choose to resurrect it? Because here's the part that matters. In denying her own connection, Melania didn't just clear her name. She reinforced the legitimacy of the entire Epstein narrative. She confirmed that Epstein was a predator. She called his survivors credible. She demanded a congressional hearing. And in doing all of that, she pointed the spotlight directly back at her husband.
Shocked. That was Melania's team. They were shocked. And so, importantly, was Donald Trump. I think maybe the most important piece of reporting, other than what was covered in that clip, was the fact that Donald Trump originally said, "I did not know Melania was doing this," and then pivoted, realizing that that was a bad look, and said, "Well, actually, no, I knew everything about it, and I was definitely up to date." He originally said to MSNBC, had no clue, then to CNN moments later, "Well, I knew it all, of course I know. She loves talking to me. We definitely still talk. This isn't a contract marriage. It's real, and there's love." And nobody, of course, believes.
Donald Trump, who has repeatedly called the Epstein files a hoax, now had to publicly back his wife's statement, a statement that directly contradicted his own position. He told one outlet he had no idea she was going to
The lady came out last week and said she had no link to Jeffrey Epstein.
Who did?
The First Lady, Melania Trump.
She had none.
Why did she come out and say that last week?
Because the fake news was saying she did, and she had none, and I think that's been proven. It bothered her that the fake news was being fake news. That's all. She just wanted to clarify.
Are you surprised?
Who's taking care?
So Donald Trump having to back up Melania's claim that there was no connection, quite frankly, there was no connection, only makes his connection to Epstein look worse, because it looks like Donald Trump was dragging.
Then, seconds later, he told another outlet he knew everything. The contradiction was immediate. The damage was real.
Melania there, that there was only a friendship between him, Ghislaine, and Epstein. But of course, we know that's not actually the case. Melania was friends with Ghislaine. She wrote that email in which she was like, Ghislaine, you're so, how I'm doing Trump, you're so beautiful, and we love you, and we love Epstein. That's my Melania voice. Probably still needs some work. I think I sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger. But that is only like reaffirming Donald Trump's closeness to Epstein, right? All of that is just baked in. Obviously, we know that that was throwing Donald Trump under the bus. Obviously,
The White House Correspondents' Dinner, a black tie event Donald Trump committed to attending months ago, was shaping up to be uncomfortable for an entirely different reason. The Wall Street Journal was set to receive the Katharine Graham Award for Courage and Accountability. Their crime? Publishing a bombshell story about a 2003 birthday letter allegedly written by Trump to Jeffrey Epstein. A letter that follows the outline of a female figure.
out. Things could get awkward this weekend for the president and the First Lady. First Lady Melania Trump will be joining her husband during his first appearance at the White House Correspondents' Dinner as Commander-in-Chief. Donald Trump is delivering a speech at Saturday's black tie dinner, which he has boycotted every other year he was in office despite being invited annually. This year's event, though, is shaping up to potentially be a humiliating night, as the Wall Street Journal, as I said, is being honored for its bombshell story about a lewd birthday letter that Trump allegedly sent to the late sex offender and pedo Jeffrey Epstein. The president traditionally shakes the award winner's hands. Melania Trump will be on hand to witness whatever awkwardness ensues, as she's also scheduled to attend the dinner, the New York Times just reported.
A letter that closes with the words, "A pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret." Trump's signature placed at the bottom of the figure. He denies writing it. He sued the Journal for $10 billion. A federal judge threw the case out the same day the award was announced. And Melania? The woman who never shows up. The woman who skips weekends, skips state dinners, skips nearly every public appearance with her husband, announced she would be attending the Correspondents' Dinner. The night journalists would be awarded for their Epstein reporting. The night Trump would be expected to shake the hands of the reporters who published the letter he calls a fraud.
The White House Correspondents Association announced last week that the Journal would be receiving the Katharine Graham Award for Courage and Accountability for reporting on the 2003 letter. The letter follows the outline of a female figure and includes an imagined dialogue between the two former close friends. If you do not remember, the letter said, "A pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret," and it of course concludes with Donald Trump's signature placed suggestively in the pubic area. Trump has denied writing the letter and sued the Journal for defamation for $10 billion. A federal judge tossed out the suit on the same day the White House Correspondents Association announced its award. The Journal's parent company, Dow Jones,
JD Vance, meanwhile, was pressed.
Melania, meanwhile, as we know, made a bombshell statement earlier this month denying she'd ever had a relationship with Epstein or his associate Ghislaine Maxwell, although photos suggest otherwise. The White House Correspondents Association announced its awards, importantly, more than a month after Donald Trump attended or committed to attending this year's dinner, saying it is an honor for Donald Trump to go, and that he's happy to celebrate America's birthday. On Saturday, Melania will also witness Caitlin Collins getting an award, who Donald Trump called stupid and berated as nasty, saying that she should smile more when asked questions about Epstein. Once again, Melania Trump is bringing attention to Epstein. She will be attending a White House Correspondents' Dinner in which journalists are being honored for the reporting they did about Epstein. Reporting that Melania says needs more attention, or said needs more attention, and that her husband is disputing to the tune of $10 billion in a case that...
By a student on the exact same question. If Melania herself called for Epstein accountability and a congressional hearing, how can this administration claim the files are a hoax and actively block DOJ investigations? Vance fumbled. He deflected.
Got thrown out. So Melania, who is just as much of a player in the birthday card, in the photos, in everything, is going to an event in which Donald Trump will be humiliated, in which they are going to be awarding the journalism that Donald Trump calls fraudulent. Melania, who hates doing things with Trump and is never with him, ever. Like, sure, she shows up to Easter and like that's it. And maybe some Christmas stuff. And of course, when she can grift and talk about her book. But Melania is never with Donald Trump. So for her to show up to this event and say, oh, they're talking about Epstein, like I have to go and see them talk about the Epstein, that is humiliating. That is humiliating for Donald Trump, and it just creates a bigger story. This is bad. This is more attention. This is more uncomfortableness. I wouldn't be surprised if Trump canceled. But again, like, this is the timetable. A month ago or 2 months ago, Donald Trump announces, I'm going to the dinner. Last week, White House Correspondents Association says, we are awarding reporting on Trump's relationship with Epstein. And then Melania says, well, I might as well tag along. That is a tough.
He brought up a vague email about pizza and grape soda and said he'd follow up. That was his answer. That was the Vice President of the United States addressing the biggest scandal of the modern political era. And now, for the rest of this administration, every press conference, every hostile question, every congressional hearing will feature one devastating weapon: Melania Trump's own words. The files haven't been released. The names haven't been confirmed. The investigations keep getting quietly redirected.
The first lady said Epstein was not acting alone and had to be held accountable. She said and called for a congressional hearing, but President Trump multiple times called the files a hoax. The acting attorney general said Epstein shouldn't be a part of anything at the DOJ. If there are compromised government officials in those files, how can the public trust that this administration will hold anyone accountable when its own Justice Department is actively blocking the investigation? Given that, can you clearly articulate your stance on whether federal entities...
So first of all, you said the Associate Attorney General or something. I haven't seen that quote, but here's my view on the Epstein matter. Number one, the guy was clearly a scumbag, okay? Number two, he clearly had extraordinary connections both with intelligence services, both inside the United States and outside the United States, and also with a lot of very wealthy and powerful people, okay? Number three, I have been a firm advocate and will continue to be a firm advocate of where we have something, and you know, like, I'm probably more obsessed with this than most officials, okay? Probably more obsessed with this than most people even in this room, is when you see somebody who says something in an email that suggests, you know, there's one email I read, and it's been a little while ago, but it was talking about, you know, one person sent an email to Jeffrey Epstein saying, oh, there were some really nice, like, pizzas and grape sodas or something like that. And I remember it sounded like the Pizzagate conspiracy theory, but here it was in like an email from a guy. And my reaction to that was, we should absolutely investigate that person, okay? And, you know, you remind me, I'm going to follow up on that to see whether we've investigated that person, because we should. We absolutely should. When you see evidence of sexual assault, sexual misconduct, regardless of whether you're powerful or not, in fact, you should probably investigate it more if you're a powerful person.